saucer of the Senate will get considerably hotter.
But there were many other developments more likely to trigger a global meltdown. When President Trump decamped to Florida last week, he took along his national security team and informed the visiting Chinese premier over dessert that he was bombing Syria to punish the Assad government for allegedly using chemical weapons. The move deepened the rift with Russia, stirred up North Korea, and left everybody wondering, why now? At a news conference on Wednesday, the president said he had no regrets.
I felt we had to do something about it. I have absolutely no doubt we did the right thing. And it was very, very successfully done, as you well know.
Meanwhile, the tough talk on Syria's ally Russia continued, with many eyes on Nikki Haley, America's ambassador to the UN, who has emerged as an early bellwether of the Trump administration's thinking. She was the first official to significantly up the ante on Russia and suggest that the US was considering unilateral action in Syria. And she didn't let up this week as Russia vetoed a UN resolution condemning the attack.
To my colleagues from Russia, who are isolating themselves from the international community every time one of Assad's planes drop another barrel bomb on civilians, and every time Assad tries to starve another community to death. People not just in the West, but across the Middle East and the world are speaking out against Assad's brutality. It is long past time for Russia to stop covering for Assad. It is long past time for Russia to push seriously for peace and not continue to be part of the problem.
The Secretary of State Rex Tillerson was dispatched to Moscow to, in diplomatic speak, narrow the sharp differences between Russia and the US. Having accused Russia of being either complicit or incompetent for failing to remove the Syrian government's chemical weapons in a 2013 deal, that meeting was unlikely to go well. And the only real consensus was that relations are at an all-time low.
We just came from a productive meeting of about 2 hours with President Putin. We frankly discussed the current state of U.S.-Russia relations. I expressed the view that the current state of U.S.-Russia relations is at a low point. There is a low level of trust between our two countries. The world's two foremost nuclear powers cannot have this kind of relationship. We understand that improvement in the long-term relationship will be required if we are to make progress on issues where we have different views.
The bromance between Presidents Trump and Putin may be over, but Mr. Trump already has a new beau lined up: China's President Xi Jinping. Just a week ago, Mr. Trump said the Chinese were the world champions of currency manipulation, but now he says they don't do that anymore. And after spending the weekend with Mr. Xi, Mr. Trump had this to say.
This gentleman, I've spent a lot of time with him over the last 2 days, and he is the president of China. President Xi wants to do the right thing. We had a very good bonding. I think we had a very good chemistry together. I think he wants to help us with North Korea, but I was very impressed with President Xi, and I think he means well, and I think he wants to help. We'll see whether or not he does.
North Korea must have been on the minds of both leaders when the US dropped the mother of all bombs on a system of tunnels and caves used by so-called Islamic State in Afghanistan on Thursday.
I don't know if this sends a message. It doesn't make any difference if it does or not. North Korea is a problem. The problem will be taken care of.
Exactly who authorized the use of America's most powerful conventional bomb is unclear. The White House press secretary, Sean Spicer, declined to answer the question. Unfortunately, he wasn't so reticent earlier in the week when he made an ill-advised comparison between President Assad and Hitler.
We didn't use chemical weapons in World War II. You know, you had someone as despicable as Hitler who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons.
Sean, thanks. I just want to give you the opportunity to clarify something you said that seems to be gaining some traction right now. Quote, Hitler didn't even sink to the level of using chemical weapons. What did you mean by that?
When you come to sarin gas, he was not using the gas on his own people the same way that Assad is doing. I mean, there was clearly he brought him into the Holocaust Center. I understand that.
He later apologized, a rarity for this administration that usually tries to present missteps as alternative facts, and a reminder perhaps that the old British adage, "Don't mention the war," still holds true.
I made a mistake. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I got into to a topic that I shouldn't have, and I screwed up. And to know when you screw up that you possibly offended a lot of people. And so I would ask, obviously, for folks' forgiveness to understand that I should not have tried to make a comparison. There's no comparing atrocities.
Mr. Spicer looks like he'll keep his job, but less clear is the fate of the White House chief strategist Steve Bannon, affectionately known here as the Dark Lord. Washington is abuzz with rumours that he may be on his way out. Could it be that the populist wing Mr. Bannon leads is losing its grip? If true, that could be the biggest bombshell of all.
There we are, that's our weekly take on President Trump's week, and it was presented this week by Jane O'Brien, and she brings us to an end of this edition of NewsHour. So thanks very much for listening, and from Owen Bennett-Jones here in London, goodbye.
BBC NewsHour comes your way each weekday between 2 and 3 on Minnesota Public Radio News.
Tune into Morning Edition and discover news that matters. From Aleppo to your neighborhood, Morning Edition is live, relevant, and timely. Morning Edition on NPR News. Discover what matters.
Your Twin Cities forecast now. On this Friday afternoon, it looks like scattered showers and thunderstorms the order of the day, with a high in the mid-60s. At least a 50% chance of rain. The showers, thunderstorms likely tonight, lows in the upper 50s. The chance of rain increases to 70%. Tomorrow, 50% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms. Highs in the upper 60s. For Sunday, sunny and highs in the lower 60s. And that's your forecast.
Keep up on the effects of climate change on Minnesota. Head to nprnews.org/environment. You'll find stories about farming, water quality, endangered animals, and the impact of a warming globe on our own health. That's nprnews.org/environment.
President Trump has reversed his position on a number of issues, and experts say it's a common pattern.
Now, a lot of presidents, when they're campaigning, say things that they find out they can't implement or are hard to implement. But you're talking about a president who was radically uninformed when he came into the White House.
It's All Things Considered on Minnesota Public Radio News. I'm Tom Grant with Odie Cornish and Ari Shapiro in Washington today. Also ahead this afternoon, North Korea's vice foreign minister is accusing President Trump of making trouble with his aggressive tweets. We'll also get analysis of the week in politics as we do on Fridays, and we'll hear how researchers have made a device that extracts drinking water from thin air. And if you're a cheese curd lover, it's the end of an era at the State Fair. All of that ahead, and the Cube Critics on this Friday afternoon. First, our 3 p.m. hour starts with the news.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Louise Schiavone. Words of resolve from the top U.S. commander in Afghanistan, General John Nicholson.